Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Video Game Collectors on Call. As always, I'm Dr. Gamer Retro. Today joining me, if you've watched the show or listened or however you get to it, you may have heard me say on many occasions that I'm not a huge handheld collector, which is true. But today on the show, I have someone who is a handheld collector, and this individual goes by the name of Sqwerks. So Sqwerks, thanks for joining me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
Good, good. So, I think I've seen some of your collection. It sounds like a lot of it is mostly handhelds, correct?
Yeah, I
Okay.
have a few home consoles, but it's mainly handhelds.
And when did you start your collecting journey?
Probably 2020 when I got
Okay.
like my 2DS brand new.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know you have quite a few things to show off, some
Yeah.
interesting, maybe some rare things. I have some questions, and maybe you can show me things pertaining to that first. For example, what's maybe the rarest thing you have?
Probably this thing here,
Okay. And that is what?
a non-working display unit. It has cardboard screens and the motherboard has no chips on it, and the stylus is glued in and the SD card tray does not open.
So why was that made? Why does that exist?
This was made to be displayed at like Walmart. Like, for example, when you see the PS5 kiosk, this used to be in Japan, or I got this from Thailand, but they used to be on store kiosks to show off the hardware. And if they were
Okay.
stolen, they wouldn't work.
That makes sense. Okay. All right. Very cool. What about maybe something you have that's your favorite handheld that you own?
Probably that would have to be this thing.
Okay.
The
Switch.
Tears of the Kingdom Switch OLED.
Okay. Are you a big Zelda fan? Was that why or
Yeah, I'm a big Zelda fan. I really like this console.
is that the only Switch that you own or you have other
I
ones?
have two others.
Huh?
I have my original one.
Okay.
This one, this one's custom built.
Okay.
And then I also have the newest addition to the family, the Hyrule Switch Lite.
Okay. All right. Very nice. Would you say that the first item you showed me, would that be the most expensive item in your collection or is something else more expensive than that even though that's the most rare?
This one isn't the most expensive. This one tends to go for about 200. The most expensive would have to be like this one.
Okay.
This one
And that
tends to go
is
for about $400. The
and
transparent green analog pocket.
and this was made by Nintendo. This isn't someone modded this to make it look like
This
this.
is from Analog. It allows you to play your original Game Boy cartridges, and this is a new console that was released a few years back, like 5 years ago, or
Okay.
maybe
Well,
four. Yeah.
will it play only original Game Boy cartridges, or does it play other, Game Boy Advance and other
This
Game
can
Boy?
play Game Boy Advance, and then
Uh-huh.
with the adapters, you can play Game Gear, TurboGrafx 16, and Neo Geo Pocket Color. And I
Okay.
think one more, I can't remember the Atari Lynx, maybe?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it can play a lot of consoles, and there's even a dock you can put it in to play it on the TV like one of these things.
And does it have built-in games on it currently or no? It's just cartridges you put.
You can put a micro SD card and you can emulate with OpenFPGA,
Okay.
and I can actually turn it on for you and show you how many consoles I can emulate.
So not just Game Boy, but maybe some Nintendo games or Super Nintendo games, maybe.
You see here it registers Tetris DX for the Game Boy Color.
Huh?
But if I go down the OpenFPGA, I can do arcade, computer, consoles, and now you can do all of these on
Wow.
a
Oh yeah, there's
Switch-like
S. Okay.
device. It's really nice.
That is very cool. And you can put it on your TV, you said, too, which is very nice.
Game Gear and everything. It's a really nice device.
No, that is awesome. I see a lot of those for sale, like on TikTok and things. And, I've never seen one in real life or someone that I trusted with their opinion if it was good or
Yeah.
not. But that's definitely looks like a good one. So,
Yes.
do they come in different colors?
This was a one-time production of the transparent wave. They had several different waves of releases,
Okay.
but they only come in black and white
How long
as
ago was
far
that?
as retail goes.
How long ago was it released?
This one was released, the pre-orders went up September 29th, 2023,
Okay.
like 2 years ago.
So relatively new.
Yeah.
What other things do you? I know you have a lot of stuff to show off. What other things do you have to show?
I mean, I have just more handhelds and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah. Let's take a
PS
look.
Vita.
Okay. I was just talking to someone today that I do not have a PSP or a PS Vita, and I would like to get one. So,
This is a very beautiful device. If you want to get it, I'd say to get one of these because this can play PSP games when you hack it. And this is an OLED screen, like the Switch OLED.
so explain to me also. So when I look at PSPs and I'm looking to buy them, I see like PSP 1000 or 3000. What are those different models that they've made different years, or what's the difference?
They're different models. I do have a 1000 that I could go get, but it's in my room. The 1000 is a thicker model and it has a worse screen, whereas the 2000 and 3000 were slimmer and had better screens.
Gotcha. Okay.
The 2000 is the most popular model.
Which one between Vita and PSP do you think has the better games?
Probably the PSP, primarily because the Vita didn't get enough support, and most of the games that were developed for this thing don't really perform the best on the
Gotcha.
device with low frame rates and all this. But
Gotcha.
this is still a beautiful console.
Okay. All right. What else you got?
Here I've got my new 2DS XL. Here's the case for it. North American exclusive color, actually, I think. So it's actually a rare piece because a lot of these get broken. But this one's a really beautiful one. I actually got this from Nintendo directly through their repair program 3 years ago.
How does someone get access to that to the repair program?
It's no longer. They've just
Ah,
recently started discontinuing it. So this is actually, I still have the little sleeve they gave me with it and said certified Nintendo product.
very cool. Very cool.
In here I have like Rhythm Heaven. That tends to go for like 40.
Is that a more expensive DS game?
Yes, this is a
Is
bit
that
more of a chase, a little bit. It's a
what
really fun one.
what exactly is that game? I've not heard of it.
It's a game that like uses the touch screen for these, as it says, it's rhythm based, so you have to try and swipe on the touch screen to match the rhythm of the game. It can be
Okay.
pretty tricky at times, but it's definitely a fun one.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Also have this here. This is a kiosk demo, not for resale. If I
Wow.
like put it into my 2DS and then you boot it up, it will boot directly into the game.
Okay.
And it won't actually go to the heart like the firmware, and it will have an old demo that used to. This is an actual cartridge that came from the grocery stores.
So it's not the full game. You can't play the full game with
No,
that
it's
cartridge.
only two playable kiosks. You gotta wait for this thing to turn on. It takes a good minute.
Okay. No, I have a lot myself. I have a lot of not for resale games for Super Nintendo and for
Oh,
Nintendo
that's nice.
64. Yeah. And those, I think, I'm trying to remember. I think most of those is still the full game, but there are one or two, and I'm sure whoever's watching this will correct me in the comments, but there are, I think, one or two where it's just a small portion of the game that you can play on them.
Yeah, like the Pokemon games, those are the
Yeah.
entire game. They just changed the starting region, like
Right. Right.
Alpha Sapphire, for example. Because you
Right.
can see here, just you have field and dungeon, and that's it. If you
Wow.
select one of the options, it will just
And
take
you're
you
just
into
playing
the
it.
game, and then you're there. You're playing it.
Do you have any other not for resale games?
That was really the only one I was able to pick up. I made a whole video on it like almost a year ago at this point, but they're pretty cheap. You can find them on eBay, at least I think so.
What are some other games that came out with not for resale versions?
It was like the other Zelda games like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask 3D, and it was like some other ones like Yoshi's Island or something.
Gotcha.
The most
Gotcha.
expensive one was Majora's Mask being $70. This cost me like this copy that's in here cost me around $20. Actually not
Okay.
too expensive.
So while you have your games out, I do have a question for you. As someone, like I said, who's not into maybe DS or something, I do see a lot of fake games being passed around. I hear a lot about a lot about fake DS games. Tell
Yeah,
me,
this boy right here is a repro.
okay, so tell me how you know that by looking at it.
Let me take my Japanese copy of Go here. You can see from the front, the color just looks off. Here, let me try and
Hmm.
focus on it.
Yeah, it's going to be a little out of focus, maybe.
You can mainly tell from the top that one of them doesn't have this little like bar of plastic. It's kind of hard. It's like right there. There's like a lip.
I see it. Yeah. Wow. I would have never even thought of that.
And also you can see on the repro, it's like super cheap.
Yeah.
Just looks cheaper.
Yeah, it looks more flat and smooth on the real cartridge, like it's all one
And on the
piece.
back, you can tell the Nintendo logo all looks off. This is the real one. This is the fake. You can tell that it's like not shining the same, and it's really like rounded on the O. Just looks fake.
Did you buy that knowing that it was a reproduction, or did you not know when you bought it?
A vendor at an event was going to throw these away and smash them up, but I'm like, oh, I'll take them for free. And I
Oh,
just use them for just to play on until they break. I also have
okay.
a Pokemon Ruby that I got.
Okay. Very
I
cool.
can go get my tray of Game Boy games if you want to see them.
Yeah,
I
no, that's
forgot to
fine.
grab them.
Well, yeah, no problem. No problem. Everyone, I don't know if you've watched any of my episodes, but at some point during the show, everyone always gets up and walks away for a few minutes, and I'm stuck here on the camera alone.
All right. I'll go
So
get
whatever
the
you, yeah,
PSP and the Game Boy games. I'll be right back.
no problem. So while he's doing that, I'll just, take a moment to say to everyone, thanks for all the follows, all the likes, all the shares. This is starting this podcast is something that, I really wanted to do for a long time and finally decided to just do it. And I really didn't think that people were going to follow along. And I'm at 90 subscribers now, which is 89 more than I thought I would ever get. So thank you to people who watch and share. And thank you to the people who, follow and especially those people who have been on the show. Greatly appreciate everyone who has been on the show or is going to be on the show. Definitely really appreciate all of those people. And still waiting for him to come back, but
I'm
I think
here.
he's
Hello.
back. Perfect. All right.
Here's the PSP.
Okay. Yeah.
Pretty identical if you take a first glance at them.
Right. Exactly.
However, the buttons are clicky on the Vita, whereas on the PSP, they're membrane. So it
Okay.
depends on what you prefer.
Okay.
This one's waiting a repair, but there you go. There's both of them.
Okay. Very cool.
All right, so here's my Game Boy games. Now, I've been collecting these since I got the Analog Pocket.
Okay.
There's a cult classic right there.
Really, I did not know that
Yeah.
NASCAR would be a cult classic on the Game Boy.
Yeah. It's mainly just a joke. This game's worth absolutely nothing.
Well, I mean, I
It's worth
think
like
on
$1.
most Yeah, I think on most systems that game is on, it's not worth much of anything.
Sorry, just a little sick today.
That's okay.
Donkey Kong Land.
Yep, yep.
You got Tetris.
A classic for sure.
Yeah. This one.
And that's a real, not a repro, correct?
Yeah, I got it as cosmetically flawed because of
Okay.
this.
If that were to be a repro, what sort of things would you see?
The label definitely won't be worn. If the label's worn, that's a definite sign that it's real, especially if the cartridge has scratches here. That's what you're trying to look for. Also, if the color's off or if it doesn't
Gotcha.
say Nintendo there, doesn't
Yeah.
say like made in China, patent pending. If that's blank, it's fake.
I've heard a lot, especially with Pokemon Game Boy games, that GameStop has been accepting a lot of them that are fake and not really looking over
Yeah,
them and
I've
selling them
seen
as
that.
real.
Yeah, sometimes you can score a real copy for pretty cheap, but most of the
Yeah.
time it'll be fake.
Yeah.
This is Pokemon Green that was only released in Japan.
Wow.
It was
Now will that
Pokemon Green and Red in Japan, and it was
Okay.
Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow over here.
And so they never even got yellow in
They never,
Japan.
yeah, they did get Yellow. It was that they got Green and we didn't.
Gotcha.
They had 4 Pokemon games. We only got 3.
Okay. Very, very interesting.
And then this worn copy of Mario Land 2.
Okay.
Pretty
I
nice
do.
stuff.
Yeah, I do remember playing some of those. So
Pretty good games.
Game Boy Advance again is another thing that I'm not too familiar with. I know it looks like you got a couple games in there. I actually ordered a bunch of games online, and someone sent me a free Game Boy Advance game, and it has no label on it. And I don't have a
Oh,
Game Boy
nice.
Advance. Yeah, I don't have a Game Boy Advance to put it in to see what it is. So I'm curious. I might take it to a game store and have them pop it in for me and see what it is.
I wonder what game it is.
Yeah, could be anything.
This one I scored for $6 at a thrift store somehow. Goes for around $25. It's pretty nice. Super Mario Bros. 3. And then you got this that came with a DS that I bought. It's some sort of Mega Man game. I'm not sure what it is because I don't speak Japanese, but I'll check it out someday.
Okay.
And then this copy that's liquid damaged on the label, but
Is
that's
that
pretty cool.
okay? What is that game? Is that also Japanese? It's hard for me to see it.
It's Fairly Odd Parents
Oh, the Fairly
Enter the
Odd Parents.
Cleft. I've tried
Gotcha.
playing it. It's pretty ridiculous.
Okay, gotcha.
You have to put this passcode on it, or you lose your save file, and you have to put that passcode in every time you want to play, or you'll lose
Interesting.
your save file.
Interesting. What would be some of your favorite games for your handhelds?
It really depends on what console it is. If it's like the DS, I'd probably say that it would be like Mario Kart DS or like Mario Bros, because that's all I have.
Gotcha.
But I did really like Pokemon Pearl when I played it. Pretty good stuff.
And do you have any consoles, or do you just own the handheld systems?
I have a Wii that's in the closet, my Wii U, and my PS3 that's over there. But they're both plugged in. I could go pull them out, but it would probably take a minute.
Yeah, no, it's okay. You
Yeah.
you are you just into the mobility of having the handheld systems? You can play them anywhere. Is that kind of what attracts you to them, or?
Yeah, that's kind of what attracted me to playing them and getting them, is because they're just so pocketable and you can take them everywhere.
I really like multiplayer games, and I felt like consoles are a lot better for that. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I'm kind of neutral on that. On the DS, you can do download play, so you can like play with your friend nearby
Huh?
if they have a DS as well.
Huh?
But I do like the home console, like the Switch, for local
Yeah.
multiplayer because it
Would you
doesn't require everyone to have a DS on them.
So would you refer to the Switch as a handheld console? I mean, I guess it has a base and it's removable, so
Yeah, I guess I would call it a hybrid, as that's for what
yeah.
it is,
Yeah.
because it is just both, and it's still confusing this day what people call this thing.
Yeah.
But I like it both, really. I like playing it on the TV and in my hands.
Are you excited to pick up a new Switch when they come out?
The Switch 2?
Yes.
Yes, 100%. I'm getting it launch day. Might even stream my unboxing on YouTube.
So I've seen the commercial. I haven't done a lot of research on it, but tell
Yes.
me from what you know, tell our viewers kind of what the Switch 2 has that the Switch doesn't.
Well, there's a lot I could talk about, actually. Besides just the Joy-Cons, magnetically attaching, I've
Yeah.
done a lot of research on it, and I
Yeah.
was there during the 5-month period. You probably would see my comments on the subreddit for the Switch 2. There's a lot of my comments on there. But I know a lot about it, and there's a lot I could actually talk about there.
What are you most looking forward to with the Switch 2?
Probably my favorite part's gonna be the fact that it's backwards compatible and that games are going to be upscaled and be in higher resolution on the new system,
Uh-huh.
probably for like Breath of the Wild or something. It
Now
would look really nice.
I've seen some videos about maybe some launch titles, a new Mario Kart. Is that
Yeah.
true? Are those things you've seen as well?
The Mario Kart game is confirmed. That's the only one we know of.
Uh-huh.
However, there are a few other games that are possible, but none of them are confirmed.
Like what?
I'd say like Grand Theft Auto 6 has a really, really good chance of releasing on the Switch 2,
Hmm.
because as you noticed, they didn't release a trailer for it, and now the Switch 2 has been announced, and the next trailer is going to feature the logo on it, is what I'm expecting.
Okay.
Like Elden
Okay.
Ring, a lot of games that the Switch missed out on due to its outdated hardware.
Right.
If the Switch 2 can get those AAA games that the Switch missed out on, that would be great. That's what I'm looking forward to, because I don't own a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, so I've
Hmm.
actually never played modern generation games.
Gotcha. Okay. What about, is there anything that you are looking for, like a piece that you want to have in your collection, but you just haven't found a good deal or haven't found it anywhere in the wild?
Like a piece that I want in my collection.
Yeah.
It's kind of a
Yeah.
hard topic because there's a lot that I could want, but like good a good example would have to be like a new 3DS, like the standard size new 3DS. I'm
Uh,
always looking for one of those, but the prices for those have just skyrocketed. It's like $600 if you just want like the special edition in the box. It's just ridiculous.
what would be your holy grail? People talk about the item that if money wasn't an option, what would be the one item you would want?
Probably the 2004 DS prototype.
Okay.
It was a bit different. It had a different design, and it was much cooler looking to me because they split this hinge down the middle and they put it on the sides
Uh,
instead of doing it like this,
yeah.
and it had a much sleeker design.
Okay. Very cool. What about, in terms of consoles, what is your favorite console of all time?
Probably either the Nintendo Switch or the DS, but if I had to choose them, it would have to be the Switch.
Okay. And just because the games or just the style
Just the
base and
just the ability to be able to take it and make it into a home console and play it on the
uh
TV. That's
uh
something the DS is not really capable of doing.
yeah, and you can take it with you too, in the car if you're riding in the
Yeah,
car for a long time or on a train or something,
yeah.
you can play your games. And now I know PlayStation, and I'm not too familiar with it because I don't have PS5 either, but I think they have something similar now, right? Where you have like a screen and you have the controller and you can
Yeah,
play
it's called
your
the
games.
PlayStation Portal.
Yeah, yeah.
Super large. It only does it over Wi-Fi, so you
Okay.
have to have Wi-Fi to do it.
Okay.
And if you don't have like super space grade Wi-Fi, it's gonna have lag, I think.
Okay.
And I just don't like that
Yeah.
because if you're trying to play a competitive game and you're sitting there a few frames
Right.
behind, it's gonna be pretty terrible.
Do you have any other handhelds or consoles sitting next to you that we
Yes,
haven't
I
shown yet? Okay. All right.
We
Yeah.
have
Let's
this
keep.
one here, which I've shown you, but we didn't really
Yep.
talk about much. This here is the DSML. This was extremely untalked about for a good 10 years when it existed. This is an old Chinese reshell. It's unofficial. This is a completely unofficial design. As you can tell from the back here, it says Devive instead of device. There's a typo on the shell.
Okay.
This is a reshell of the original DS, which I have one right here.
What does the ML mean?
Nobody's been able to really tell, but it could mean like medium light
Ah, okay.
because this is meant to look like the DS Lite. But here's the DS original. It has a
Right.
rounded design. This one unfortunately is split into two pieces, but get around to fixing that some other day. But as you can see here, this is a cartridge slot, same for the DS Lite, but actually the original doesn't have that.
Okay. Gotcha.
Pretty nice device, and this is my favorite DS to play right now.
But yeah. You play all of these frequently, or you kind of choose one and play it for a few months and then switch to a different one, or what do you do there?
I try to like cycle through them one at a time. Like I'll play this thing and then I'll swap in the middle of the day to I'll play this for 30 minutes and I'll go over to
Gotcha.
this thing for 30 minutes.
Gotcha.
I'll try to balance them all out, but some of them, like the PS Vita, I don't have any games for it, and I was trying to get it modded,
Okay.
but we never figured out the homebrew, so it's just kind of been sitting.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What else do you have there? I see something poking out at the bottom of the
I have this
screen.
thing. It's a Nintendo 3DS. It's a Japanese one. This one's broken, but it has a really old firmware from 2000 on it.
Okay.
This thing was liquid damaged and it wasn't turned on for 13 years. So, Electronics Fix over on his channel, if you've seen it, he actually fixed this for a video, sort of. It still has problems on the motherboard, but it's a pretty nice piece to have in my collection.
Yeah, definitely.
This is the Ice White. So, this was from pre 2013, which is a launch edition one,
Where
or
do you
launch
find
like year.
Where do you find most of these items that you pick up? Is it online? Is it through eBay? Or what's your main source of obtaining stuff?
This one I bought from my guy on Discord 2 years ago. I dropped it, but it's fine. This one I bought from Japan, as I do a lot of my importing from there. I get most of my broken consoles from Japan, but like a lot of these I just kind of got into my possession, like one way or another. Each one kind of has a unique story. Like this one was my first sponsorship deal where a company sent me a DS Lite to try and repair, but I didn't really fix it because it has the top screen cable rip, common issue. But all of these have different stories behind them.
Gotcha. All right, what's next?
I have my Nintendo 2DS, which I've had. This is the first handheld I collected besides my original Nintendo Switch here.
Hmm.
This one I actually still have the original box for, but I bought
Those
this for $60 new the month before it was discontinued.
those really seemed they always seemed weird to me. It just seems very the shape of it and just the space it has to occupy. I just never liked the shape or the way those looked.
Yeah, you're right about that. They don't really give it the same like concept as the
Yeah, you can't fold it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
but this thing, the only reason it's superior is because it's more durable. The screen is actually repairable, whereas on this thing, it requires years of practice and being good at repairs to be able to repair this. However, this is much easier to disassemble. and the
Gotcha.
buttons are membranes instead of clicky triggers. And
Gotcha.
this is more longevity, but it doesn't really look the best
Right.
because it is
Right.
a flattened DS.
It almost to me looks like one of those. I don't know if you've seen the toys that the kids have. They're like iPads, but they have like padding all around them, and I don't know what they're called, but it looks like one of those in a
Yeah,
way.
this was
Yeah.
marketed towards children.
Yeah.
It is the little bro console, if you had to put it in other words.
Right. All right. Anything else you got?
I have this piece, which is probably something that the internet's never seen before, in at
Perf-
least in modern
Perfect.
technology, is the Neo Double games.
Okay.
It's an old school bootleg from the era of the DS. This is very rare, and this is the only one I've ever seen sold ever on eBay, and nobody even knows where to find them. I got this from Japan for $12.
So not made by Nintendo, correct?
100% unofficial.
Yeah. Okay.
This is the angle it opens at. You cannot
Okay.
move it past that.
Wow. And are
I
these
haven't turned it on yet.
Nintendo games that you put in there to play, or it has its own separate games?
Watch this. You ready?
Yeah. Wow.
The
Why would you?
screen comes off because
What
guess what technology this one shares?
is it? Something like the Switch where you?
It's the Game& and Watch. This is a Game& and Watch clone.
Okay.
These screens have multiple layers of sprites on them. And technologically wise, both these screens are the exact same code. It's just the sprites are different. Or at least that's from what I know. I haven't turned this thing on yet. And I plan to do that in the full length video that I'm going to do on this unit.
Okay.
But as you look, it's really cheap, it's really flimsy, and it
Yeah.
takes AAA batteries. That's the power switch. It's this painful, sharp. It's a really poor quality, but it is a
Wow.
really important piece of history to be able to have in my collection.
And
I
this
have a
was
transparent yellow one that was never, ever documented before that I have coming my way soon, and I'll feature that one in the video.
and this was only in Japan, is that correct? Never released in North America?
They did release it in America, but it was children broke them and threw them away almost instantly. And
Okay.
not
All
many
right.
of them actually survived,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
in the original box.
Gotcha. Well, that's very cool. Do you have a favorite game of all time?
That's a really, really tricky
I
question.
I know.
If
Yeah,
I
it's
if I had to say, it would have to be like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, because those are my two favorite games of all time.
yeah, some people, I talked to a lot of people who love Zelda, and again, I personally never got into Zelda. I played a couple of the ones that were on Nintendo 64, but I never really, it just wasn't something that I loved and had to have, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah, I see what you're saying. For example, it's like I have games that I don't like as much. Like I don't like Fortnite or I don't like Call of
right.
Duty.
Yeah.
I prefer Splatoon 3 over all of those.
Yeah.
And Breath of the Wild, I do have to say that you are missing out a lot. It is a very great game and is very awesome. I suggest you take a try at it.
Yeah, I probably will. I feel like games like that require a lot of time and patience,
Yeah,
and
they take time.
I just like to be able to play through a game and get the story and go quickly, maybe a few puzzles here and there.
Yeah,
But I say that, but I also played through Elden Ring, which was a very time-consuming game to get through and
yeah, I
required a
see
lot
what
of
you're saying.
patience. So,
Breath
any
of the
other?
Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are pretty, you can take your own pace at it.
And those are
You
the
can
newest
play it for
ones.
years. Breath of the Wild is from 2017, whereas Tears of the Kingdom is from 2023. But they're still both great games to play. But I suggest playing Breath of the Wild first, as Tears of the
Yeah.
Kingdom is a sequel to that game.
Okay. No, very cool.
And
All right.
here's my two games that are a little bit of mini grails, both worth about $100 a piece. Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn, the last official Nintendo game to release on the 3DS.
And
This
what
game,
is that game? What do you do in Epic Yarn?
it's the Wii game. It's Kirby's Epic Yarn for the Wii, but ported to the 3DS, so it's Extra Epic Yarn.
And what is so I'm not familiar with the Wii version either.
It's
So
like a
it's
platformer where you're like a
okay.
little string Kirby and you have to sit here and untangle all the monsters. It's a pretty good game, honestly. I really like playing it.
Gotcha. And then I saw the other one you had was it just looked like Mario, but
This game I got because it was Mario's 35th anniversary. It's
mhm.
Mario 3D All Stars. This game was infamous for its 1 year discontinuation date. You had 1 year to buy this game until it was discontinued. But of course, that caused inflation on that, and 9 million people went out and bought it.
Okay.
But nonetheless, the game still went up in price and now is worth about $80 to $90 a piece, I guess.
So you couldn't buy that game new
New.
currently
You'd
if you
have
wanted
to
to.
buy it used or sealed for a higher price.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. Anything else you got hanging out over there?
I don't got much else. Those were all
Okay.
my like cool handhelds, unless you want to
That's
look at my broken ones that I have in my closet waiting for repairs.
and when you say waiting for repairs, are you the one fixing them or you're sending them elsewhere to be fixed?
I fix them myself. As if you
Okay.
check out my channel, you'd actually see the repair videos I make. Though I don't
Okay.
make many of them. This one's going to be featured for its own one, obviously. But I like repairing the original DS the most. So I have
Do you
like
re-
8 of these in my closet.
and do you repair for other people or only for yourself and your personal collection?
I repair and I sell them on eBay. Like I sell refurbished DS originals on my eBay page, but I repair for myself and for other people.
And what is your eBay page if people might be interested in buying from you?
It's called Night's Fall. You could probably find the link on my bio on my channel, but uh, it's on my link tree, which is
Okay.
probably the best way to find it. But I do sell these on there, and I'm going to be bridging into new markets like of different handhelds. Like I might try and start fixing these a bit more.
Okay.
DS lights.
Very cool. That's awesome. You said you had a link tree. What other social media? So you have a YouTube, you have an eBay page, obviously. What other social media places can people find you on?
I have the Discord server, I have my Substack account, I have the Etsy account, which we don't have anything really on there right now. I can't remember what else. It's like
What is a Substack account? Forgive me.
Substack is kind of like a Twitter alternative for like
Okay.
writers or people that want to be more intellectual, I suppose.
Okay,
It's a
I
really nice
see.
platform, but it's more
Okay.
simple. There's not so much
Gotcha.
memes on there and stuff.
And on YouTube, it's is your YouTube channel, is it Sqwerks as well?
Yes,
Okay. And your link tree, if we wanted to look you up for all of your links, would that be as well under
that
Sqwerks?
would be Sqwerks. The only thing that's different is the eBay page.
Huh.
I believe, yes, the eBay
Okay.
page is the only thing that's different. Because
Okay.
that's owned by
No.
my brother and not me. So
Gotcha.
he gets to choose the name for it.
So you kind of do all this with your brother, the two of you?
Yeah, my
Very
brother,
cool.
yes.
Very cool. Any sort of last advice or things you want to tell people watching maybe about handhelds if they're looking to get into collecting handhelds?
Really depends if what you're trying to look at. Like, I know there's a really big market for 3DS consoles.
Yeah.
And I know there's a skyrocket in price for like the new 3DS models, like my new 2DS XL, which I'll pull out here. Because if you look, there's the circle pad here, there's the C stick.
Mm,
This doesn't have it. This has the ZL and ZR triggers here. This doesn't have it.
gotcha.
But those differences are very minor. I'd suggest like buying probably the older 3DS models as your
Hmm.
bridge into getting into collecting, as that's why I bought my 2DS. This is a very cheap, this is the cheapest model you can purchase
Hmm.
alongside this one. They both cost around 80 piece for
Gotcha.
both of these. But this boy over here goes for like 200, $220, and
Mm.
these are really hard to find, whereas these are common and abundant.
Well, who knows? Maybe I will end up getting a DS or something at one point. Right
Yeah.
now, I feel like you have to limit yourself because if you say, I'm going to collect everything video game wise, you're going to go broke, right? So
Yeah.
for me, I said handhelds were out of the picture until I can focus on, like the cartridge games and
Yeah.
PlayStation and some other things. So, but
You
I
can always
appreciate
start
you.
out small.
But yeah,
You can
definitely.
always start out with like one of these. You can get them
Right.
for really cheap, like $30 for a DS original. This one
Nice.
goes for about 50 on AliExpress if you want the ML specifically.
I still got to get one of those Game Boy Advances so I can play that cartridge and see what it is.
Oh
I'm very
yeah.
curious. Yeah. So,
Game Boy
yeah, that,
Advance, in that case, I'd suggest getting maybe one of these because these would be cheaper than a Game Boy Advance, and they
interesting.
play Game Boy Advance games on the
Okay, well
bottom.
that makes a lot of sense.
But in that case, I'd suggest getting the DS original, because on the DS Lite it sticks out, whereas on the original or the ML it
It's
sticks
very
all
flush.
the way in.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that better for sure. Well, again, thanks for joining me today. I
Yeah.
appreciate all the knowledge
Anytime.
you've imparted on us about handhelds because people ask me all the time about stuff with handhelds and I don't know what to tell them. So hopefully this is helpful and hopefully this a lot of people learned some things. I'm sure I did.
Okay.
But everyone, thanks again for watching. Like I said, hopefully you learned something, and we'll see you next week on another episode of Video Game Collectors on Call.
All right. See you guys next time.